So at the incredible, smoky morning to Quiesce's creatures, his land, and all of you, my brothers and sisters, children everywhere, those who are keen enough and have been guided enough to listen to some of the wisdom Shepherd Court is trying to dish out amongst you. We left off with fields, possessions of fields, those being donated to Quiesce. Well, what about a field that isn't an ancestor's possession? So that's where we are now. So if I buy a field that's not of my ancestry, and it's sanctified to Quiesce, it's the priests, once again, who will count according to the number of years to, once again, the Jubilee. And he that had vowed to Quiesce shall give that property. So if I vowed it to Quiesce, then I am to give that according to the number of years left to Jubilee. But in the Jubilee, it shall return once again to the former owner. You know, I know this land isn't in my ancestry, but I had enough funds. I bought it. It does get returned to the former owner who sold it and had it in the lot of his possession. That's this, you know. I made the money off of it. But what else do I need the land for? Keep building on more and more and more. So that's why Quiesce did this. It's just so amazing. And you come out west and you see all these extraordinary ranches with all this property, and you scratch yourself. Okay, you got all this property, and there are fences here, and there's a fence there. You try to go down by the water, another fence. It's just, again, why? When's the last time you actually traipsed that property? Can you count for every tree? Do you say a blessing for every tree? What about the creatures and the other vegetation that grows there? What is it for our ownership of these properties? All estimations shall be weighed by the sickle, using the sanctuary once again. A sickle, sorry, no glasses. A sickle has 20 oboes. Let's go over this a little bit mathematically. There are approximately, let's say, 11 grams to a sickle. Generically speaking, a sickle, or shekel, as the Hebrew text call it, shekel, in the liturgy is used to mean weight. So I have this branch here that has a shekel to it. There's a lot of weight to it. A couple meanings to it. One shekel is equivalent, if we further define this according to numerical values versus simplicity of being just weight. 240 farthings. A farthing, used with the F for English, farthing fourth. Let's try to remember it that way. A farthing means a fourth. Therefore, 1 farthing would equal 1/4 of a penny, 1/4. 3,000 shekels, 3,000 sickles equals 1 talent. The firstborn, let's move on to that, which Quiesce has talked about before. Everything that pertains to the Lord. No man may sacrifice and vow the firstborn, whether it's an ox or a sheep, anything. They are the Lord's, specifically. Our forefathers owed them that. We owe them that for what our forefathers did, but we ignore it, brush it aside. Partly due to what the clergy had said. We discussed their meetings before and what they came out of it, and then partly due to our own selfish needs. But let's talk about this firstborn just for a little bit. This may be confusing, so I'm going to try to clarify it. The firstborn. Now, with this verse, Quies forbids the vowing of the firstborn and exemplifies his reasons. The firstborn of all living creatures are his. It's pretty simple. When something is already bound to Elohim, it can't be vowed for anything else. Someone comes up to me and says, hey, you promised me this land. Even though I've already vowed the land to Quies, well, I can't do it because I've already vowed property to Quies. If, like I told you before, if you want to take this route, this spiritual, then hold your covenants, because the only ones that are holding them are you and Quies. Because everyone else ignored you, right? So you've taken this vow by yourself. Hold the vows, because Quies doesn't forget. And if you're really sacred in your words, if your name means anything, like I put my name on it, right, when you say things like that, well, value your name. Put your name on it. It's the same thing when you make a covenant with someone else. If you break that covenant, you've denigrated your name. I know family members who just think nothing of that because they don't care about their names. They don't care about their value. What they want is what they can see, what they can build and leave. So they steal and they grab and they continue to lie about it. It's so shameful for what they're doing to their souls because they've gotten away with nothing. Stealing does catch up, and it catches up as mortally as the sin itself. A sincere vow is a voluntary promise made to Quies, and this pleases him so significantly. You have no idea how much this pleases him. And that the same is very grateful to God, I'm quoting, appeareth not only in this chapter and in many other places of Moses' law, but also in the law of nature. Where does this quote come from? Genesis. It sounds familiar. I got this from Genesis. For example, Jacob's vow. Remember his vows? They were accepted by Quies. Even the extraordinary royal prophet, the super King David, commanded various vows in the book of Psalms. In the New Testament, it was manifest that widows did lawfully vow chastity in the primitive church. And such as did afterwards break the same did violate their promise to Quies. Because he holds these vows so spectacularly, and so should you. Countless godly and learned fathers have said, have ever from Christ's time both taught and practiced religious vows of obedience to superiors who otherwise had no authority over them, and of perpetual chastity and voluntary poverty. Did you get that? That's how wonderful Eremites are, evangelists are, even though maybe not sanctified, backed by the clergy of the church. That doesn't mean Quies has turned his back on you. When man does this is man. Not the priest, but the man that faults in this stupidity of not accepting someone's vows, especially if they're so sincere and if there's no reason not to accept it, no godly, I'm not talking earthly, but godly reason not to accept it. Ambrose says this. Both taught and practiced religious vows of obedience to superiors, which I do. My superiors would be the clergy, the chief priest being the Pope, who is not the leader of Quies' church. He's just the chief priest. Christ is the leader of his church, who otherwise had no authority. They have no authority over me. But my perpetual chastity, which I've also vowed, and my obedience to them and my voluntary poverty, because I've given everything to quiesce, being supervised by another man who doesn't have these vows. Quiesce, it takes this exceptionally close to his most glorious heart, because you're doing it for him. It has been a common practice in the church to also vow other good works of piety, as to, for example, visit holy places, or to build churches, or like what we do, try to help out chapels and churches, colleges, build hospitals, being no way bound, but of mere devotion. It's by Timothy. Continuing. Now, let's say the beast, going back to the beast, firstborn. Let's say it's unclean beast. He that offers it shall redeem it according to the estimation that shall add a fifth part of this price. Fifth, once again. If he will not redeem it, it shall be sold to another for how much soever it was to be esteemed by me, or by a third party, or by a priest. Anything that is consecrated to quiesce, however, whether it be a man, beast, or even a field, shall not be sold, nor can it be redeemed. In fact, Theodoret, he writes, a vow made, approved, and consecrated to God cannot be changed by any man. You see that? A vow made, approved, and consecrated to God cannot be changed by any man. How do you know if it's been approved by God? You know in your heart. You know in your mind and your heart, if you've determinedly prayed on this. I'm just not talking a prayer or 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I'm talking prayer with possibly, like what I did. I went out and I went out without eating, without drinking for 3 or 4 days, stringently praying on it. And I did this more than once. So be certain. Don't just think it's an incongruous event that's just in passing. Continuing on, whatever is once consecrated shall be holy of holies to the Lord. That's how special this is. Any consecration that is offered of a man shall not be redeemed, but dying shall die. Yeah, that's how special he takes this. You want to redeem it, then you'll be punished by it. Don't think there's any redemption from that with your soul. I don't know. But he's saying it right here, dying will die. All the tithes of the land, whether it's corn, the fruit of the trees, are the Lord's, and they're sanctified to him. If any man tries to redeem his tithes, he has to add a fifth part of them. Add a fifth part of them. Of all the tithes of oxen, sheep, goats that pass under a shepherd's rod, that's how they're counted. We did this with Jacob. Every tenth that comes shall be sanctified to the Lord. So every 10th one that's passed under this rod that I'm counting is to be sanctified to quiesce. Do farmers do that now? The ranchers do that now? Do you do that now if you're raising chickens? Hens? Goats? Canine? Anything? Or is it all about how much you can pocket? It shall not be chosen neither good or bad. So this is the difference here when it comes time to quiesce. Clean or unclean. 10th beast is it. Neither shall it be changed for another. If any man changes it, both that was changed will be sanctified to the Lord and shall not be redeemed. This chapter ends with, these are the precepts which our Lord commanded Moses until the children of Israel in the mount called Sinai. And guess what? We've now closed this adventurous and most knowledgeable book called Leviticus. Congratulations. When we next meet, we'll begin with Numbers. And then after we finish Numbers, we're going to venture off to the Apocrypha and do another book from there. So until next time we meet, Pax Vobis. Glorious be his name. And think about your own property, your own value, your own worth. And what have you sanctified to quiesce? And if you don't know how to do it, if you don't have the wherewithal or the inner strength to do this on your own, then seek help. Seek a priest help or seek an Aramite help. They are experts at this, the Aramites are. That's why they're Aramitic.